Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Friday morning, August, 22nd. Time for the Friday after Bill Burr's Thursday, Monday morning podcast. I'm Joe, as you know, and if you don't, welcome to the fucking show. So, I know I said, did I say I was gonna save? No, I did talking about Bill, Tuesday, and I said I was gonna save Friday, any stories that I could think of myself for Friday. And I actually have been thinking about it, especially after yesterday watching Bill's. Oh, look at that. Nobody turns right out of work. Huh. I wonder where that person's leaving work to go to. If you're going that way down the dirt road, there's not even nothing that way. Anyways. So what was I saying? Yeah, so Fridays I was thinking, all right, we'll do, my stories on Friday, and then we'll fucking, if Bill, like I said, Bill's Thursdays are shorter, but this Thursday he happened to have a guest. What's sad is I forget her name. God, her voice, it's unmistakable, but. Yeah, and I feel bad because it's only been a day, not even a full day, but no. So he had a guest, and so it's pretty cool. They were talking about she wrote a book, how to write a funny speech, which I think is cool because I've been talking lately about how trying to figure out how I can translate my comedy, not my brand of comedy. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it. My style, the way I deliver, practicing, blah, 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 etc. Which is funny. They talked about, do you practice in the mirror? And it's like, no, because I don't fucking want to watch me. So, I don't want to watch myself. I'd rather, like doing it in front of a crowd. I'd rather that, but also I'd rather, like, how they have the lights so bright on you that you can't see the crowd. That'd be pretty cool. Then I might say, fuck it. Because, I can't see anybody, so I might hear a voice, off, like, to the left or to the right, like, you suck. But if I don't see him, then, maybe it's different. But anyway, he had the guest. She wrote a book. She's a comedian as well, if not longer than him. But they were talking about, there was one comedian, and he said, you gotta, I always say, I'm not giving up, and, it takes years of, effort, practice, blah, 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 whatever, dedication, that's why I think it's so funny when I get the comments on my, on the podcast channel. It's like, what are you doing? You're wasting your life, and, this is stupid, and, you're not funny, and it's like, dude, well, not even dude, but all of them, to everybody, like, it's been a couple months. You think I'm gonna fucking just blow up? Sorry, there was somebody at the red light that I had to wave at. And I had to give him a fucking goofy wave. But yeah, so he had a guest, and it's like, like I said, you're not just gonna, well, some people might, but you're not just gonna blow up. You're not just gonna blow up. So now, the same friend that I tried to race for fun a week ago just took off on me. So, sorry about that. Like I said, traffic is included free, like everything else in the podcast. So yeah, enjoy that show. The non-viewable show, verbal Jesus. But my point on the fucking bill, anyways, is they say it takes a long time, so it's gonna take a while. Even if I do anything, this could be a shit show for its entirety. Who's to say that I ever hit any kind of legitimacy? Shit. Most people don't, and that's I get that. But doesn't mean I can't do it. It's a free country and I was gonna say a free world, but I guess not everywhere. But I'm fucking free as far as I know. And my little fucking regular person doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes brain. I got my freedoms and my rights, man. I know my rights. I don't have the right to shit. That's the real right. But, so yeah, it's inspiring seeing that fucking, not just one comedian, but more than, like I said, multiple comedians say the same shit. Fucking keep going. And, so that's what we're going to do. But on that note, thinking of all that, the podcast. So when I started it, I started it because, Bill did it twice a week. And I was like, all right, I'm going to mirror that, because he's one of my favorite comedians. So I was like, let me mirror him on the podcast way. And then we'll figure out, developments, I guess you could say, from there. And what happened is, over time, I've noticed that, a lot of Bill's podcast, well, for one, Monday he does an hour, Thursday, usually a half an hour. Yesterday he did, I think it was about an hour with, God, man, I want to say her fucking name is Sharon, but I don't, man. I'm sorry to the comedian, to the lady, I'm sorry I fucking forgot your name. But it's not a name that, like I said, the voice, I know that voice for sure, but the name, it was like, it's like one of those things where it's like, hey, you know this song? And it's like, oh yeah, I know this song, like, oh yeah, so you've heard the band fucking, blah, 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 and you're like, no, I never heard of that band. Well, that's who made the song. Oh, okay, well, cool, that's good to know. Now I know that, such and such, that's kind of how it is with this lady. It's like, I've seen her before, I've heard her before, but I just, let's be real, if it's in a movie, I don't think many people watch the credits. I'm sorry. And then, stand-up, I don't know if I've seen her, I'm gonna have to look now. But, no, so I've been thinking, with the way, Bill's more serious, and then on top of that, it's, like I said, it's half an hour, it's an hour and a half for the whole week. But it's split into, whatever. Short, not as funny, so it's hard for me to do a joke off of a lot of what he says. Like, sometimes I can riff on shit or make fun of shit or talk shit about something, nag, whatever. But a lot of times it's like, damn, man, I'm sitting here tagging comedy on my podcast, and I really don't have much fucking comedy. So I think I'm gonna switch the schedule is going to stay the same, but I think what I'll do is Tuesdays, since Bill does, the hour on Monday, I think I'll save my Thursday reviews over the weekend. That gives me time to, if there is anything good, that gives me time to build on it. And then I'll also, my Monday, he does the hour, so that, that gives me time, or not time, but that's, gives me more material for my Tuesday. Usually Tuesday I have a lot more to talk about with Bill. And then Friday, I got to try and squeeze my own stories in, which, that's basically the way I'm going to try and do it is, I'm going to make it so Tuesdays are, I don't know if I'm going to switch the Friday podcast name yet, the title of it, because if I'm not doing anything on Bill or other comedians, then it doesn't really need to be named after fucking Bill. But Tuesday will be left the same. Like I said, we'll review, react, fucking respond to whatever he's got to say. And then Fridays, I'm going to try and, whether it's jokes, one-liners, stories, because another favorite comedian of mine, Jimmy Carr, that if you listen, I went and saw, and if you saw on my page, my heckle made it onto his YouTube, on his, I guess, like, what, top moments from each city or something. But, he said, what the fuck was it? Oh, no, yeah, at the end of the show, and I've seen a couple times online, he's like, at the end of my shows, I try to throw in a couple jokes and see what works, and if it doesn't, fuck it, and if it does, we build on it, and that's how he gets more material. So I figured, all right, if I just pick Friday, that means, like I said, I don't have to listen. I listen to Bill Thursday, I take my notes, but I can save it over the weekend. So what I can do now is I can work on writing, funny jokes, stories, whatever, working on building my brand, my style of comedy, whatever that is. I don't know yet. Besides the natural, but the natural, as I've said before, it just comes out. I don't know it's funny until you do. And then hopefully it's fucking funny and not insulting. But, so yeah, I'm going to try and do that. Save Fridays, like if, today, if I were to start today. But Bill had a fucking guest. I do have a couple funny stories, but it's not stuff that I've built up like, I wrote this story because I was bored and, good old friend Jack had a fucking, a kink in his dick, or whatever. I didn't know. No, these are actually real world for the week. Well, no, one of them isn't, but it was the thought of mine. So my job, there's a couple buildings. And, so, we got winter in Michigan and whatnot. So, our building doesn't have a bathroom. Like it used to be, I guess it used to be maybe a garage or a barn, or I don't know what was there, but whatever was there, when they built it up into the, the manufacturing that we're doing now, they didn't add in, I guess there's actually no pipes, like, underground. Like there's actually no sewage pipes to the building. So that's why they didn't add it. Was they're I don't know how they are now, but at the time, a startup company probably didn't have the money to fucking run, to cut up the fucking concrete, run pipes, and then relay fucking concrete, blacktop or whatever the parking lot. So point is, from my building to the building with the bathrooms is uphill going and downhill coming back. So in the winter, especially, you got ice or snow, you might not be able to get up the hill to the bathroom. Or, if one of the older folks, doesn't want to go up the hill because if coming down they slide or, fall, they don't want to, break their back even worse. Anyways, they got a single porta potty, which that's not the point. There's never like a line or nothing, because we all go up to the main bathrooms anyways. You don't want to sit outside in the porta potty. But I was sitting out there today, not sitting out there. I went in to take a leak, because one of our things is, you don't number two in the porta potty if you don't have to, because nobody wants to go outside and smell that out of our building all the time. But so I'm out there, especially for the guys, it's easy because you just go out and you take a leak. So I'm out there and taking my leak, not in the middle, but no, I opened the porta potty door, and as I opened the door, a wasp flew out. Which, hey, whatever, fuck it. It's summer, winter, or summer, winter. What am I just naming seasons now? It's summer, winter, spring, and fall. Jesus, I'm fucking stupid. No, it's summer, and wasps, etc., bees, fucking bugs are all out and about and living their fucking happy little, buzz lifestyles. But I'm not a big fan of wasps. As I said, I'll fucking waste the whole can spraying one wasp. But it got me thinking. Because, so in Florida, or at least in the area that I'm from in Florida, there's, you got wasp nests and stuff, but you don't got like the big, if you got like a big hive, it's one of those, like, it's in your wall and you don't realize it. And then, like, it's like an older lady gets stung and then she gets stung again. And it's like, how do I keep getting stung sitting in my fucking kitchen, or sitting watching 60 Minutes or whatever they're doing. But they're inside, right? Windows closed, whatever fucking story. And, and then you come to find out, they call some pest control, and, come to find you got like a fucking 10,000 bee or wasp nest that's like built in the side of your wall or something. That's different. But as far as I know, as far as I was raised, taught, like I said, the area that I grew up in, there's no, like, real big, like the honeycomb, like, hanging from a tree, and you knock it down and it hits the ground and thousands of bees go swarming pissed. You don't really see those. I don't think I've seen one in person in Florida. like I said, the area I'm from, I'm not, saying all of Florida, I'm not fucking stupid or ignorant and gonna be like, there's not a single big bee nest all over Florida. But I didn't see one. And then the second one is the nest in the ground. Like the mud daubers or the fucking whatever other, wasps and shit, that nest in the ground. So you're walking and you happen to step on like the top of it. And then I've heard stories here, especially since I moved here. And it's it's usually the same story. I'm walking through the fucking, yard and, I step on a spot and it's a little squishy and I got stung on my foot. And next thing you know, there's like fucking, a handful of wasps and I'm swinging at them and trying to get away and come to find out, there's a nest in the ground or whatever. But, so the point is I'm thinking, okay, I don't know why it came to my mind, but what do you do if you're somewhere that you can't, like, actually, this is something happened to me. Theme park in Tampa, Florida, the area I grew up. Theme park is Busch Gardens. And, they're kind of like Cedar Point of the South, if you don't like Six Flags, I guess, which I don't think is in Florida. But anyways, they got roller coasters, they try to break records, blah, blah, blah. And one of their problems used to be when I was a teenager was at the top of the roller coaster, the bees and wasps, they like the vibration, or they're attracted to like, vibratory shit. And so I'm like, all right, we get to the top of the roller coasters and most of them, you get to the top, you're going slow, so you're passing the nest, they're swarming, you're like, oh shit, there's bees. And then right as soon as you're kind of thinking that, oh shit, there's bees thought, you're going down the hill. Like you're fucking, woo, down the hill. And even if there was a bee or a wasp that like landed on you, that motherfucker's like, ah, and fucking, flew off at 60 miles an hour or whatever. At least that I know of. But the one ride, Shikra, when they built it, of course, my friends and I, it's a brand new record-breaking roller coaster and it stops you at the top. And my dumbass didn't think about it, so here we are for the first, like, I don't know how many times it took me to fucking realize, but I'm stopped at the top of this roller coaster, right? And it's a vertical drop, which that's what, that was, I guess the record at the time was like the tallest vertical drop roller coaster in the country. I don't know about the world. Look at that, they got Voodoo Ranger at this liquor store here. They had that at a fair I went to. And then, I guess, why wouldn't they have it? I don't know, it just sounded weird, but I tried it, and it was, I guess it's an IPA or something, and I'm not really a big beer guy. Like, if I do, it's gonna be, what's it called? Oh, geez, Yingling, or like a Blue Moon or something, or Shock Top, if I go for a beer, but usually I'd rather just, I'd rather throw a fucking mixed drink in, fucking, pour my shot or two in the cup, fill the rest up with some fucking lemonade or something, and then, just kick back and sip on that. And instead of getting fucking pumped full of 20 beers, about to pass out and throw up because I'm so full with no buzz, have a couple mixed drinks and you end up breaking all the shit in your fucking house. It's not funny, but it's true. And then I also realized on that note, real quick, before I get back to the wasp story, I don't know how I got in the sidebar, but before I get back to the wasp story, so, like I said, yeah, you have too many drinks, you can turn into an asshole and break all the shit in your house, whether it's your shit or not, doesn't matter because you're blacked out, right? Well, I already know that I inherited, some, character qualities from my family. Obviously I'm half my mom, half my dad. But then on top of that, way I was raised, at least on the father's side, because my mom wasn't really a smacker or a yeller, shit talker kind of thing. But dad, he's the first person to tell you, you're being a fucking dumbass, and smack you across the fucking head. So, I got that. I got, it's just how I'm going to put it. I got that, So, yeah, well, it's not even drinking, because when I drink too much, I'll be fine. Like, there's been nights I I've been perfectly fine. I mean, I was fucking, drunk. I might have forgot the conversations, but, when I woke up the next morning, there was nothing broken. Everybody's happy. But I noticed that I have this kind of like a trigger deal. And it's more so when I'm drinking. But I noticed because the other day it happened, I hadn't even drank. I ate a couple of gummies and got a buzz that way. And, I've never seen somebody mad. Well, I've seen one person in my entire life that smoked or, anything THC and got mad. And so I ended up having like a blackout anger moment and broke some shit. And it was off of the weed gummies. And I looked at the alcohol and I'm like, oh shit, because it was the next day when I realized everything, like the full scope. But I'm sitting there thinking the next day, and I'm looking through my messages because you can go through messages and phone calls usually, especially if you're drunk or high or anything, and you can kind of make a timeline of it. And I found a timeline, and I'm like, I didn't even really start drinking my drink till after the whole shindig, where I went fucking blackout crazy. And so it made me realize, I'm like, people don't get angry on weed like that. So, or at least, not that I've ever seen. So it made me think, okay, this is definitely, and it's not so much, a sober thing. I mean, you can push people or push me to that limit, but it's a lot harder. So I'm like, okay, something, it's the inhibition. I get that, but something's off here, because it's not just drinking, or it's not just any one substance or any one chemical or any one situation, but it is one specific. Like I said, Dad was always the first one to smack you, tell you you're a fucking stupid son of a bitch, blah blah blah, or whatever, your idea's dumb, like, oh man, I got this great idea, and then he'd be the first one to be like, yeah, try that idea and you're going to be a homeless fucking loser with a failed company and a fucking blah, 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 and you're a waste of space. And he's very motivational, very motivational. So, that's where I think it comes from, because every time I've snapped, whether it's been, like I said, it doesn't matter what you want to add to my body, alcohol, smoking, fucking, if I smoke cigarettes, you could throw that on there. Back when I was addicted to some other stuff, you could say those things, but now I'm starting to look at it, because like I said, I've never been mad and high before. So that really shocked me, and I thought about it, and the only thing that's similar is there's a grown man that I feel I should be respected and, what's the word? I don't want to say trust, but it's like, if I tell you something, like, not that I'm right, because you never know for sure if you're right. Well, I mean, you can be pretty damn sure, but, there's always moments where you're wrong, and I've been wrong with this, well, not even this person. I've been wrong with everybody. But point is, I guess it's how it's responded to when I'm wrong or when I'm believed to be wrong. It's the way the response comes back to me. So it's like, if I get like a, hey buddy, I don't really believe that. You're gonna have to prove that, or something along those lines. It's usually like we're good. I might prove it. I might say whatever. Believe what you want, but It's when it's like, well, that's fucking stupid, and or that's a dumb fucking thing to say, or I don't believe that, or there's one time I was saying there was a girl I wanted to hit on, and I mentioned how I was gonna hit on the girl, and one of my friends, he's like, that's fucking dumb. You don't ask a question, and nothing in what I said had a question in it, and because it was like condescending, kind of rude sounding, and then that's fucking dumb. Obviously, I know he didn't mean it like, even my dad, he loves me, and if I died, I'm sure he'd fucking shed a tear, so, I know it's not really what they mean, but I don't, for some reason, like I said, that's what I found is the trigger. And so, yeah, so that's something I'm gonna have to work on. But then again, that's also something that, other adults need to work on, is the way you talk to, other adults. Like, you don't just fucking, and I get it, a lot of people, if you're friends and you roast each other, it's even one of the things, how can we be friends how are we true friends if I can't talk shit about you? And it's in a fun, lighthearted way, that's fine, but you got to make it so that it's known it's fun, lighthearted. And I'm by no means saying that me freaking out and getting angry, blackout angry, is there's no excuse for any of it. So don't take that way. But at the same time, the way you approach it, it's like if you're a gun owner, if you walk up to, like, say you're okay, let's just say me, 33-year-old, 200 pounds, 6'1", man, fucking, and I walk up to a short, a petite woman, and I just walk up to her, right? We don't know each other. I just walk up and I go, I have a gun. Like, I own a gun. With no context, that she's gonna freak the fuck. Who wouldn't freak out? You don't have any context. It's like, well, you don't just walk up and say something like that. It's like fucking, like using the B word on the plane. Like, or like, there's certain situations or certain ways that you approach things. Like, if I was gonna, like, I guess the way I would do it, I don't know why I would even tell the fucking lady. So the story is dumb, but, say there was a reason to tell the lady. Like, I had to tell her, like, maybe we're in a bank and there's a robbery that, going on, so I'm going to try and protect us. I could be like, well, hey, I got us. Like, you just, you stay calm, and, I got my weapon, so I'm going to help us. That's different than fucking, I got, or however. So, like I said, I'm not taking any credit off of me, but, the way things are approached, the way words are said, can have a lot to do with it. So yeah, back to the wasps. If you're in a fucking porta potty and you're taking a shit, and say you're at like a fair or something, because ours is only one, but you got the vents on top for the air and stuff, so you can breathe and all. So you say you're in there, right? And you're going to the bathroom. You're at like a fair, carnival, whatever. Your stomach hurts. You got your issues. Whatever it is, you're kind of stuck in the moment. Let's just say that. Say you're stuck in the moment, or even not stuck, but you're in the middle of it, and the guy in the porta potty next to you slams the door. He's pissed off. Maybe he had a few beers. Maybe his wife, or maybe it's the wife. Whoever, they're pissed off. They slam the door, and just so happens to be a wasp nest between the porta potties. Now you're sitting there. You're mid effort. And what do? You're getting swarmed. Like me on the roller coaster. Obviously, I'm not taking my seatbelt off, lifting the harness, and falling 200 feet to my... I mean, not that I could, but, it's like I'm not doing that over the wasps. Like, it was pretty much like, well, I'm in this fucking chair for the ride, so if I'm getting stung, I'm getting fucking stung. I mean, that's pretty much it. So, but in the porta potty, I thought about it, like, because like I said, the one wasp flew out. And I looked around, there's nothing else, but I'm thinking, what the fuck would somebody do? Like, I know, it's like, the more calm you stay, the easier it is, and they're depending on the breed, they're not as aggressive, but I don't care who you are. And you're in the middle of going to the bathroom, sitting on the toilet, and you get swarmed by a bunch of fucking angry wasps or bees. I want to know what the hell you would do, because my answer was I'd shit myself. But I'm already in the process, so would I run out, Because I feel like I'd be one of those people like that. Would I run out, pants on the ground, and that means I'm not running. That means I'm taking like 3 steps. I'm getting the door unlatched, and then I'm falling to face first onto the ground. Still getting stung. Now getting stung on like my bare, unwiped So that's the thoughts. That's the kind of comedy thoughts that come to my head. Is like, what would you do if you're at a fucking you're at the state fair in a fucking porta potty, and a angry wasp nest gets fucking disturbed? Oh man, hope the guys got your EpiPen. And then the only other thing, it's not even really a funny story, but I kind of feel bad. Well, I don't feel bad, but I feel bad for the guy. My boss took 2 weeks off. You know, everybody, you got your summer vacation for the Northerners. You know, well, actually, I'm surprised it's not winter vacations, but he likes the cold. He doesn't like the heat. So, yeah. Anyways, we got the vacations. You know, everybody's been running through them. I know I told everybody I took my day off on 4th of July's weekend with my dad and sisters. And, but, so he'll be off for 2 weeks. So we got a stand-in boss, I guess you could say. Oh, man, hold on 1 second. This fucking hair, I got to trim the beard a little bit. And there's just a couple hairs on this one side that are longer than the rest. So I'm just trying to, there we go. See, just rip it off. Be a man. But, no, so we got a stand-in boss, and he's a good guy, man. He's funny, he's cool, or, no, I don't want to say funny, I haven't really talked to him too much, but he's cool, you know, everything's straight. But, our building is, we do a lot of hazing. There's a lot of fucking, you know, new guy, new girl this, new person that, so people are just fucking giggling and making jokes. And it's not jokes about the person. It's not like, do you see his shirt? Do you see the facial hair? Oh my God, he's got a fade. Look at that. He's got a number 7 on top. And he went all the way to a 2 on the sides. Like, it's not like that. You know, it's not like, you know, do you see how long his nose is? Does he have a 3rd nostril? Can you tell? It's not stupid shit like that. But it's more like, oh man, what was the main well, so the boss that took the time off, you know, he's so used to everything that he's real fast at everything. So it's like he's constantly keeping everybody at a high pace. And this guy, you know, I mean, not that we're all not keeping pace, but you know, he doesn't do it every day, so he's going slower. So at one point I look over and my coworker's kind of falling asleep, and because the job's not too hard, so he's kind of falling asleep, and he wakes up, and we look at each other, and he giggles, and he's like, dude, he's like, I might go start helping him, because I'm gonna run out of work. And so it's like I said, it's like a hazing, but we don't say anything to the person. It's all behind your back, which is even worse. But it's funny shit like that. It's like, you know, oh man, like, look, here we go, new guy's about to spill the case of whatever. But like I said, he's not new, so it's not bad. But a couple good laughs at work. But what happened is, so the boss of our building takes the 2 weeks off. Well, the big boss, you know, for the company or whatever you want to call it, fucking ambushes everybody right at the start. I'm talking like right at the beginning of the morning. Literally comes up to me and he's like, hey, how often do you inspect this part? And that specific part, we've never had an issue with, so nobody fucking checks them because we've never had an issue with them. I mean, but there is a tool to check it, and I'm not throwing the boss, you know, my boss under any bus or anything, because like I said, there's never been an issue. And even if he did tell me about it, it was so quick that, you know, and because there's no issue, it was in one ear, out the other. So regardless, you know, I'm not saying it's his fault, my fault, either way, it's one of us. But he asked me about it, and like I said, I didn't even have time to make a fake story. I didn't have time to be like, oh yeah, you know, I do a sample out of every box, you know, grab a handful, or no, it was just, do you make sure these are good? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, there's no, you know, defects or anything. Made myself look fucking stupid. Because he's like, no, you check and make sure that the hole is the right size on this spot. And I'm like, you got me, buddy. You just taught me something. And, but he did it to everybody. He went around the room and asked basically every station, like, so, like, how often do you do this? How often do you do that? But it was like the thing that you don't do there, or the thing you don't have to do, or the thing that you skip because it's time consuming and it's not really like, it's not required to keep the pace running. I don't know how to explain it, because I don't want to say like, that they're skipping steps, because nobody's skipping any steps, but, like say you got to hammer a nail in, and then you find out that you can actually just push it in with your finger, and the top of the nail, maybe it's like not a flat head. Well, yeah. Maybe it's big enough your finger doesn't hurt. So instead of hammering it and taking the extra few seconds to grab the hammer and all that, you just push it in with your finger. Obviously you're not pushing the pointy end, anyways, that stuff. It's stuff that saves you time doing the stuff that takes time. I know that sounds fucking weird, but, so it's all the questions about that, and everybody got ambushed. So we'll see what happens if my normal day-to-day boss gets a text, or when he comes back, if he says anything. Because, I feel bad we got ambushed, and I don't know how many people fucking were able to stand up for him. But on that note, I've run my fucking mouth enough. What is it? Oh yeah, it's fucking, I was thinking that it's Tuesday, and I did my stories, but that's how much I've been talking. It's fucking end of the week. So yeah, have a good weekend, everybody. Happy, safe, sexy, healthy, all the shit I always say. Go fuck yourselves and enjoy your weekends. Let's see, hurricanes staying off the coast, so stay out of the fucking water if you're in the Carolinas. God, I mean, they already got like a couple people that got fucking dragged. It's like, not how dumb do you gotta be, but like, how dumb do you gotta be? Jesus. But again, I'm not a mean person like that, so I feel bad, but it's like, for fuck's sake, if there's a tornado coming right at you, you don't run towards it. You don't ride your bike towards it like, I'm gonna be the witch. I don't know. But, yeah, other than that, everybody, have a good weekend. Hope everything's great. Bill, go fuck yourself. Like I said, I'm cutting you down to half of my cast. To try and work on me, because you aren't doing it. Like he owes me anything, right? Yeah, that's it. Have a good weekend. Go fuck yourselves. I'm out.